my music teacher, that same choir teacher, Mrs. Updaw, said, hey, why don't you sing Yankee Doodle Dandy and do a tap dance? This is 6 weeks later. And Sandy said, you don't even barely know how to do a shuffle, and you want to, yeah, she asked me to do it. I went, okay. So she taught me a little shuffle, ball change to Yankee Doodle Dandy. And yeah, that was
how
my
you
start.
started.
Just talking musicals with you.
Hello, my name's Lesley Anne Knight, and welcome to our Season 3 special interview with an actor who has graced both Broadway and West End stages. Currently co-starring in the new musical Sleepless here at the Troubadour in London, our guest originally hails from upstate New York, where he started out in his career studying dance at the renowned Broadway Dance Centre, working in shows on Broadway amongst legends such as George Abbott, Jerome Robbins and Arthur Lawrence. His Broadway credits range from Damn Yankees, Gypsy, Guys and Dolls, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Young Frankenstein and Hello Dolly with the legendary Carol Channing. On this side of the Atlantic, his West End credits include She Loves Me, Chicago, Guys and Dolls, You're in Town, The Producers and Young Frankenstein. And at the end of 2019, he also found himself as a newly named Cat, the maitre d' alongside James Corden's Busterford Jones in the working title Universal Pictures film of Cats the Musical, directed by Tom Hooper. I'm delighted to welcome our Season 3 guest on Just Talking Musicals, Mr. Cory English.
Hello.
Hello, Cory. It's lovely to meet you here at the Troubadour today.
It's great to be here in a theatre, working.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Very lucky.
And this, as we're here, I mean, it makes sense to start off with this.
Sure.
The Sleepless was one of the first. It's the first large-scale show to open after the COVID lockdown, isn't it?
It is, and thanks to Michael Rose getting the investors on board to open up theatre again. They're losing a bundle, but for them it was very important to get it going.
Yeah.
And so they've accomplished that. We're going to the last few shows of our run, and we're all sad that it's ending, but so grateful that we got to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's wonderful because you've got a live orchestra as well, haven't you?
12-piece orchestra, great arrangements by Larry Blank, and very exciting to hear, timpani, the harp, full percussion section. It's fantastic. Yeah.
And the way that they've laid out the theatre as well when you go inside is wonderful as well, because you don't really feel like you're spread around, do you? This theatre, this production ticked all the boxes for the government because there was so many rules that they had to try and follow. Yeah.
And they said yes, because there's a big foyer, which we're in right now, and large backstage, big dressing rooms. And as you go into the theatre, the audiences are spread out.
Yeah.
So.
And the show's done, I mean, having a third of its potential audience, the show has done really well and had great reviews as well,
yes,
hasn't it?
Very good. Good reviews, and I'd say probably 80% sold.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
People have really wanted to come out to theatre, which has been great.
And I just have to say, you're now or never. Wonderful show-stopping moment in the show.
Thank you, Lesley.
Oh, we've just lost our programme. But so that's Sleepless. That's right now. Oh, it's wonderful. See, still advertising. 3 shows still to go.
4.
As we film 4 as we
more.
still to go.
Yeah.
Now, going back into the mists of time, you started out in New York. How did you get into being a dancer? Were you? How old were you?
I was 13 years old. I was going into 7th grade. I was singing in the chorus, and the local dance teacher came by, Sandy Strummenine, and taught us step touch. She was a friend of the family as well, and she said, "Cory, you'd be a good dancer." And I said, "Okay." And so I started class. About 6 weeks later, my music teacher, that same choir teacher, Mrs. Updaw, said, hey, why don't you sing Yankee Doodle Dandy and do a tap dance? This is 6 weeks later. And Sandy said, you don't even barely know how to do a shuffle, and you want to, yeah, she asked me to do it. I'm like, okay. So she taught me a little shuffle, ball change to Yankee Doodle Dandy. And yeah, that was
And that was
my
how you
start.
started.
It wasn't very good, but it was
But then was
fun.
it 5 years later you were in New York and doing classes in Broadway Dance Centre?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And that's a tough place to learn, isn't it, to do classes?
Well, tough? Yeah, tough, but you're with so many people that are trying to be better, and the energy in the place was magnificent. There was no catty behavior. Everybody wanted everybody to succeed.
Yeah.
So it was easy to learn.
Yeah.
Really, I was there, 5 classes a day.
I was going to ask you.
3 ballet, hip hop, and theater jazz.
Wow.
So
A day.
a day, and then I'd go and do my night job.
And then who were you studying? Whose classes were you doing?
My classes were Don Farnsworth, it was ballet. This is like the first 6 months there. He was very strict, and it was 16 count pliés, and just grueling. And then the next ballet class was still with him. I do a 12 o'clock, 1:30, and then the 3 o'clock advanced. Wasn't that advanced, but it was 8 count pliés instead of 16. So after I did him for 6 months, then I went to Finest Young, and he was my new ballet teacher, and he taught me to dance and move. My hip hop teacher was Frank Hatchett, legendary hip hop teacher, and he gave me my funk, my soul, my and Hit and Battle was one of my teachers as well that gave me some of the soul.
And I suppose you were paying for it by your job that you were doing in the evenings, weren't you?
Well, actually, I was on a scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Which meant you clean the toilets and you clean the floors and the mirrors and you got free class.
At the dance centre?
Yeah.
I've heard about that, yeah,
Yeah.
which is fantastic, isn't
Yeah.
it?
They don't do it anymore. You've got to work the desk and you do it for an hourly wage, which then pays. But
Yeah.
at that time, I worked 3 nights and then I got free class. And I took advantage of it. There was no way I could have afforded, 5 classes a day.
Yeah. And the people that you were doing classes with, were you all intent on dancing on Broadway?
Yes. Or ballet companies, modern dance companies, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Or music videos.
Yeah.
For me, it was a ballet company. I wanted to be in a ballet company. And then it was music videos because Michael Jackson's Bad had just come out. And so videos were quite hot. But then it came down to money.
Yeah.
Hip hop video. I did a Samantha Fox, I Want to Have Some Fun video, music video. It was 4 4-hour rehearsals and a 15-hour shoot.
Wow.
And I got $200.
That was good money.
So I was like,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson paid well, but Samantha Fox wasn't going to pay all that well.
No.
So yeah, then musical theater came along, and I went, it's a little bit better money as well. The ballet, my body really wasn't made for ballet. So, but my technique when it came to doing jazz, theater dance, was impeccable because of my ballet training.
Yeah. So how did you get into doing Broadway shows? Were you just turning up at open auditions and chancing your luck, or did you have an agent?
That's it. No, I didn't have an agent. I went to, over there it's a little easier. Well, back then it was. I'm not sure about now. There was a newspaper called Backstage, which we have now, and that listed all of the open calls.
Yeah.
And so pretty much after the first 10 months to a year, I then started to audition because I wasn't really good enough yet to audition or work. I still needed some training, which was good. I wasn't a big fish in a little pond back in upstate New York. So when I moved to the city, I knew I needed to work at my dancing.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the mentality that I was going to take New York by storm. Not at all. So I needed to study. And once in a while, I'd go to a Cats audition. I'd go to Jerome Robbins' Broadway audition. I had 19 of those. and just for experience, not thinking that I would get it at all. Had a few chorus line auditions on stage at the Schubert, which was very exciting. Never got it. Went to a lot of West Side Story open calls. Really wanted that show. Never got it.
But what was your first Broadway show?
My first Broadway show came from a cattle call, we'd call them.
Yeah.
And it was about 200 men, boys, and got down to 7 of us. And then I got Gypsy from that.
So it was Gypsy.
It
And
was Gypsy,
starring
yeah.
who?
Starring Tyne Daly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which theatre was that on at?
It's opened at the St. James Theatre.
Yeah.
It'd been on the road for a few months, and then it came into New York. One of the boys injured their foot, and he was injured for more than 4 weeks, so that's when they needed to call in a vacation swing,
Yeah.
which is what I was. So I was only hired week by week. I still kept my day job at the restaurant, hotel, so after I would finish the performance, I would run over to the restaurant and close out my shift. I did that for about 4 weeks.
And then got exhausted.
And then I thought, oh gosh, I got to give up my day job. So I did. And Gypsy hired me full time after 6 to 8 weeks.
And well, okay, now, so that's where 2 of your first legends come in, because you've got Tyne Daly, and also it was directed by
Arthur Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's your West Side Story connection, really, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
he wrote the book for West
Yeah.
Side, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And so you were part of the company in Gypsy.
I was.
Yeah.
My Arthur Lawrence story, he didn't see any of my auditions. I had to meet him. And so they were having a rehearsal, and the stage manager came up to me and said, Cory, come on stage. And of course, it's, you're looking into black. And then all of a sudden, Arthur Lawrence comes up the aisle. He looks up at me. He looks back at the stage manager. Can he dance? Yes. Can he sing? Yeah. Can he act? Yeah. All right, you got the show.
Brilliant.
So that was
What a
good.
defining moment there, because that's really your big break on Broadway, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Even though you were going in to cover for somebody, it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. Broadway Dance Center was it. There's no Bachelor Arts diploma or anything. So the Broadway show is kind of your degree.
Yeah.
For me. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And people, directors, choreographers just look at you completely different. I go back into my ballet class, my jazz classes after that, and they'd look at me and treat me differently because, oh, Broadway dancer. A Broadway dancer, he's made it.
How exciting.
I didn't feel any different, except I did have a very good job.
Yeah. And how long were you in Gypsy for then?
Let's see, it ran a year, closed, because Tyne Daly was supposed to come to London
Yeah.
and do it. That got canceled, and then they reopened it at the Marquis Theatre.
Okay.
And then I did the rest of that run about 6 months, maybe.
So you had a really good go at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, I don't know if you're going to ask me this later, but it is my favorite musical of all time. Not just because it was my first one, but it is my favorite.
I've written in my notes here, Cory loves Gypsy. And I put, because we met up a few months ago and we were talking about this pre-COVID. We even had lunch in a pub, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And one of the things I wrote after we'd met up that day was Cory loves the storytelling of Gypsy, because
Yes.
that's one of the things that.
Yeah.
And you said you learnt, so when we had a chat not long ago, and you said
Yeah.
it's what you learnt from when you were on stage with Tyne Daly, isn't it?
Yeah. Tyne gave me my first acting lesson.
Yeah.
She made me brilliant, and ever
You must have been
since,
terrified.
I was terrified. Yeah, I'd never acted before, and there I was, thrown on stage with a Tony Award winner,
Yeah.
and just an awesome woman, and I finished the scene with her, and I remember coming off into the wings, and all the other boys looked at me, and I was kind of, shaking, and they went, "Pretty cool, huh?" I was like, yeah.
It's that being in the presence of brilliance, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And she won a Tony for that, didn't she?
She did, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got time for today, but don't miss part 2 of my chat with Cory coming up right after this. See you very soon for part 2 of our Cory English interview here on Just Talking Musicals.
Just talking musicals, musicals with you.